Alright, first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn the engine over and we're going to go ahead and verify valve train adjustment on a big block Origin engine. Go ahead and turn it over, Jeb. As you watch, you will see that the rocker is opening the valve. When the rocker comes to complete close, as it is now where it's resting, now we will loosen the rocker bolt and we'll check valve train adjustment. Now, Jeb, loosen the rocker bolt. After we loosen the rocker bolt to where we have lash between our push rod and our rocker, now we will tighten it down to where we have zero lash. Zero lash is when you just have no movement between the lifter plunger and the rocker ball, but yet the push rod moves freely. At this point, you should be able to tighten the rocker bolt a half to a full turn, and the rocker bolt should be tight on the guide plate. As you can see, Jeb just torqued it to 35 pounds, and it took approximately a little over a half a turn to be within adjustment. That is correct adjustment. Once again, the most important thing you need to make sure you do before checking your valve adjustment is rotating the engine over, opening the valve, bringing the valve back closed to where the rocker is rested correctly. After you are done with valve train adjustment, torque each rod bolt to 35 pounds and verify that the rocker tip of the rocker is centered correctly to the valve tip. If the rocker tips are not centered correctly to the valve tip, loosen the rocker bolts back up. Jeb, you want to show this? Loosen the rocker bolts back up slightly and adjust the guide plate accordingly. You have a slight movement in the guide plate that will help adjust that. The best way to adjust them to where they're centered usually is by just pressing on the guide plate, torquing the bolts down. Go ahead and do that, Jeb. Notice that the rocker tip is centered correctly to the valve tip. Now you're finished with your process. Last item is if we'd have a rocker adjusted too tight. This would be as if we would be adjusting our push rod to zero lash, and when we go to torque it, it would actually be past a turn, a full turn. Like this one shows 2 turns. At this, we fear that the rocker could possibly be holding the valve open. So in this case, we need to shim the bottom of the rocker stud bolt, in between the rocker stud bolt and the guide plate. Jeb will show you how we do this at this time. In this case, we would put the shim at the bottom of the rocker stud bolt and we would torque the bolt down. Once again, we would proceed in rechecking our valve adjustment, making sure that at zero lash we have a half to a full turn past zero lash when the bolt is torqued. I showed you a correctly adjusted rocker arm. I'm going to show you if we have one that is incorrectly adjusted. In this case, we're going to show you one that after you torque the rocker bolt, the push rod is still loose. If we have an instance like this, the next thing we need to do is we need to shim the rocker. And Jeb's going to show you how we do this. At this point, we would put a shim in between the rocker head, the rocker bolt head, and the rocker ball, and we would reinstall it. We'd reinstall it and we'd repeat our process of adjustment. We'd loosen the bolt, we'd bring the bolt to where we have zero lash on the push rod, and verify again that we have a half to a full turn before the rocker bolt is torqued down.